All right, guys. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. On today's meeting, we're going to go over market conditions, interest rates. We're going to go deep in KV Core, and you're going to learn how we use KV Core and more in depth in details for that. We're going to go through FHA loan as well, right? So next half an hour to 45 minutes, we'll go over that. To start off, depending on your focus. This article that I read is pretty nice. That I want to show you guys that this person was selling bootleg CDs, and now he's running a brokerage shop. It really depends on where your focus is. You guys are already in real estate, and you never know where he's going to take you guys. Maybe you guys are doing something, driving taxi now, or have a full time job. We want you guys to transition from that to real estate because real estate has a lot of potential. The hustle part has to come from your side. We're giving you guys the tools. We're trying to educate you guys on weekly basis, um, but the hustle part has to come from your guys. So this article I'll share with everyone later, so you guys can read it. But just know that this person was selling bootleg CDs, and now he's running a brokerage shop. All right. So let's get started with our interest rates. So as of January 26th, 2023, this is according to Freddie Mac. The average rate, these are the national averages for 6.13. It's very similar to what it was last week, the way we went over. So we're still in the same range of 6.13. Okay. These are 30-year fixed rate mortgages. So that was for Freddie Mac. And now let's look at our Mortgage News Daily. And their 30-year fixed interest rates are 6.17, very similar to Freddie Mac. Again, these interest rates are not for every individual. These are the averages, what the whole United States is running through right now. Interest rates varies from lender to lender, your credit scores, how much down payment you're going to do, stuff like that. So there's a lot of factors into that. But again, right now we're around six for 30-year fixed rate mortgages. All right. Any questions on this interest rate so far, guys? And or any of you guys seeing any different interest rates from your clients or anything like that? Again, if your client is getting interest rates of 4%, there's a good chance they're doing a buy down. As realtors, you guys should know what is a buy down program, how does it work, how does it benefit your client. And we went through a webinar with that too. If you guys need more details on that, talk to me, or set up one-on-one appointment with me and we'll go through that. Okay, but you guys should know the buy down program. Again, if someone is getting interest rates of 8%, the first thing that should come to your mind is like, hey, are you getting a normal conventional FHA loan? Or if you're getting a non QM, meaning they are not regular loans, they are no income bank statement only. So there's more risk involved. So they will be paying higher interest rates. Again, we just want to educate you guys so you guys know where the interest rates are falling, right? Next, let's do a different example for affordability now. So each week we want to do different scenarios for you guys so you guys know how much a person can qualify. So let's say today is a single person making $54,000 income, and we saw the interest rates at 6.12 averages. Doesn't mean that he'll get it, but we'll put it as an average. And this is a 30-year mortgage, and let's say his saving is only $35,000, and he's cleared. He has no monthly payments. There's no bank balances, no credit card balances. There's no car payment. He kept it very clean, right? And property taxes. Let's say now instead of Queens, he actually wants to go to Long Island. And in Long Island, the property taxes are above $10,000. So for this example, we'll put 11, and home insurance will put $1,500 a year, right? DTI we're gonna put 54 because they might want to do FHA. Okay, so this person that who has an income of $54,000 on taxes, right? That they actually showing, hey, I'm making $54,000, and their down payment of 35,000. This person only qualifies for around $248,000. Okay, So based on this income and the savings, this is what they can afford. And now let's say they get married and now they have their wife is working as well, so it's a husband and a wife, and collectively they're making $84,000. Just by making $84,000 and still leaving the same down payment, instead of 250, now they jump to 450, right? And now let's say they have a little bit more savings. They were at 35,000. Now they want to have more savings collectively over the years, and now maybe they have $78,000 that they want to spend on down payment. And now they can purchase around $500,000 for that. If we change that scenario, they don't want to be in Long Island. They say, hey, let's find a property in Queens. Now, if that same person is looking for property in Queens, the good thing about Queens or five boroughs is that the taxes are lower than Long Island. So let's just give an example of $7,000 for property taxes. So now they can qualify for even more because they're paying less taxes, right? So they can go up to 550. So again, all these scenarios we want to go on every meeting just to educate you guys like, hey, this person is making this much, they have this much down payment, and they have monthly obligations and the property taxes, how much they actually qualify for. But now since they're husband and wife and maybe they have a kid and they have credit card bills and they're making minimum payments of, let's say, collectively $250, right? So maybe $50 here, $100 here, collectively 250. So they drop from 550 to 512. So the more money that they have, or more obligations, monthly obligations that they have to pay that every month on as a minimum payment, that will go as your monthly obligation, and that will decrease your home's worth, right? How much you can actually qualify for. And the reason we're using DTI of 54 is because we're going to go over FHA loan today, and Joshua will be speaking about that as well. So if you have any questions on that, we'll go on that note. Okay. Any questions on this affordability here, or if you want me to change any number, if you guys want to see your scenarios, any questions or concerns on this, guys? All right. So let's say if you're purchasing a house for 512, the monthly payment, you're looking at around $3,500 on this, which, if you do a breakdown, your principal and interest will never change for 30 years. It's $2,822. But your taxes, if they go up every year, your monthly payment will increase. And same thing with your home insurance. All right. So that is your affordability. Again, if you guys have any questions on this, or if you want to go over a different scenario, you can ask now or by end of the meeting, and I'll come back to this. Okay. And let's see what's in the news, right? From Mortgage Note, this is a today's article that pending sales are rising. So properties are going under contract. Doesn't matter if you feel like the market is slowing down. There's still enough buyers out there that qualifying and they were waiting to purchase a property. Maybe they're renting out right now and they want to purchase. You want to be part of that. So just know that there are still plenty of transactions that are happening on daily basis. Okay. Now, article is from Housing Wire, and this is showing that the home prices growth continued to soften in November, and we are already in February now. So this article's stats are a little bit older, but as we know that we telling all our agents to, if the property is listed for $500,000, do your comps, make sure that you're putting in a solid offer. Don't have to go above asking price to start off. Do your comps with geodata and see where you fall, and just go a little bit below the asking price, and that will still be considered a really solid offer for you. Okay. So again, if the prices are coming down, that is the reason, is because the offers that we're putting in is going below asking price. Okay.
Lucky,
Sure. Sure. Which one? Affordability. Hmm. Yeah, they will take, let's just say there's a second unit or a third unit, they will take 75% of the rental income. And Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Yeah, so if the rental unit is paying, let's just say $1,000, they're gonna take 75, oh sorry, $750 from that, and they will add that to your annual income. Make sense? Yep. All right. All right, guys. Coming back to this now, seller's concessions. As we said before, if you want to do a buy down, it has to come from seller's concession. We saw that every offer that was going out, not every offer, but most of the offers that was going out, had either seller's concession, 2%, 3%, where we're telling them, hey, we're willing to pay $500,000, but our buyers need some help with the closing costs, so we want to do a seller's concession. Those are the stats. About 1 out of 4 deals last year had a seller's concession. So we want to all our agents to know what seller concession is, how does it work. Again, if you guys need more details, do a one-on-one meeting with me, and we'll go in depth with that. But just when your client is short of money, instead of just killing the deal, try with the seller's concession. There were plenty of, because the sellers are scared as well. If they have a plan that, hey, I want to move by March, and the property was on the market for 3 months already, they would probably go with an offer that would allow seller's concession, because the seller wants to get rid of the property. But every seller will have their own situation. Our job is to put in an offer. If it doesn't get accepted, I mean, add it with the seller's concession. If hopefully it does get accepted. If it doesn't, you probably want to remove those concessions, right? Again, just on the same note, we don't want to waive any contingencies these days. Home appraisal contingency, your home inspection contingency, and even do a survey. Right before this meeting, we were going through with another agent where they just did a survey which checks all the boundaries for the property. So let's just say it's a 40 by 100 lot size, and the fence is coming from one side to the south and one side to the north, right? And it's just like all over the place. You want to cover those before you're going under contract, right? All those issues, you want to resolve those before going under contract, or at least putting under contract that, hey, these needs to be resolved before we close the deal, right? Because the survey, a lot of people want to skip. There's like, hey, I don't want to pay $700 for a survey. It's just going to check the boundary lines, and I can clearly see this is where. But if the fence, there's an issue with that, there's nothing can be done after the closing, right? We had a similar issue with another client where they closed the deal, everything was good, and the fence was right in the middle of the driveway. So it was a shared driveway, but all of a sudden, the next door neighbor now started using the driveway for themselves. And nobody wanted to spend $700 for a survey and getting a survey done. And now it's a court case. So why take it all the way to that level where you can resolve it before going under contract or before closing the deal? Okay, so seller's concessions, your contingencies, and doing the surveys is really important. So I hope you can, tell your clients about that as well. Okay, just the home prices, according to this, was that during pandemic the prices were rising around 41%, which was a lot. Now, if you're seeing adjustment of 5 or 10 or 15 or even 20%, it's not too bad, because the prices were already going skyrocketing, and we were seeing those, right? So now all the offers, as realtors, we want to educate our buyers. Hey, we're heading into buyer's market. Let's put in a solid offer, but you still don't want to be $80,000 off market. Let's say it's listed for 500,000 and you're putting it for 420 and it's recently renovated. You're not going to get that. You have to be realistic, but just don't have to be, going all the way down to, $80,000 less, or going above price, above asking price. So try to stay within that. And you have geodata. Use that. Send screenshot to your client. Hey, this is what the banks are appraising it at. So we should be in that price range. All right. All right, guys. Next, we have, these are the market stats for Queens. Again, the supply is still a big issue. Anytime we're seeing negative percentages of 10, 20, 30, that means that the inventory is not coming in. We're now seeing new properties coming in at the pace that we want to see. If you really want to see a true buyer's market, we want to see a lot more inventory coming in the market. Okay, so in Queens, still negative 23%. Any questions or concerns so far, guys? All right. So let's talk about KV Core, guys. Right? Everyone should have access to this. All our agents. If for some reason you cannot log in, let me know. But KV Core is your like backbone for your real estate. All your clients should be in KV Core. You should be using KV Core. The first thing that you're opening up your computer, KV Core should be your number one software to use, right? And we're paying hundreds of dollars for this, if not thousands of dollars for this um, software because it's one of the best ones out there. But if we don't know how to use it, there's no way we're going to utilize it and actually, send it to the clients, the listing that we want to send them, right? And if once you learn it, the follow up is really easy and simple with them, right? And the client feels that you're really professional. You're beating Zillow and Trulia's alerts because you're sending them every morning. So let's go through KV Core. Once you're logged in, you're going to see dashboard here. In your dashboard, I will look at the activity first. Even if you have 1 or 10 or 15, doesn't matter what kind of clients that you have in the system. If you see activity zero, if you don't see any of this going on here, that means none of your clients are going to your website and they're not seeing any properties. So if you want to be active, you want to make sure that there's activity going on with your clients. And you can see that here, that this client saw this property once, this client saw it once. So when they're seeing these properties, and you can know that this client might be really urgent to buy a house because they're looking at a lot of properties. And your job should be that, hey, could I show them this weekend? Could I show them this week? That you want to be showing them properties. If you're not showing them, they're either going to the open house directly and then they're going to be putting an offer through the listing agent and you guys going to miss out. So why not be the guide to show them, hey, there's this property here that you really like that is going to be open house, or let me schedule a private showing for you. So you want to see your activity going on in this section here. And then for your task here, so let's say you have a client named John and another client named Sarah, and both of them want to see a house this weekend. You can add it to the task that you have a task that you have a showing for this property here, and it will show up under your task here. Okay. So you want to have that here. All right. And your business, you want to worry about how many clients you have, how many contracts you have, and how many closings you have done. So under dashboard, activity, task, and my business are really critical to pay attention to on daily basis. Okay. And that's the only way you're going to succeed in real estate. If you have enough clients going on, you have enough contracts, and you have enough closings. Otherwise, why pay all these MLS fees if we're not gonna, actually make money out of that? So that is your dashboard here. The next is going to be your smart CRM. I think majority of that, you guys joining, there's few new agents here, but adding everyone to KV Core is really critical. One is that it attaches their email to KV Core. So if that same client goes to another agent of ours, they cannot add them to KV Core, right? And you want to set up the alerts right away, within seconds. So if you have a client as a new lead, you want to go to alerts and set up alerts for them right away. And if you see, we're just using this example, but if you see alerts like this, if it says 193, that's too much. You don't want your client to going through hundreds of listings. You want to narrow it down much as possible. This number, more than 20, but less than 50. Okay. So in order to do this adjustments, I would click on edit and make some adjustments here. You can, maybe the area is too big, make the area smaller, right? Instead of, we said let's put down, if their price range is 6.4, or if they're saying 600,000, I would probably put 550 to 650. Bedrooms, they put any, so I would put at least 3 bedrooms. And bathrooms, let's say they put in 2 bathrooms, and update alert. So it went from 193 to 109. Still not, it's still better than 193. They got to go through half of them, but you still want to narrow it down even more. And that is by talking to the client, hey, which area you really want to be in, and your price range and all that stuff. And again, your goal should be around 50, less than 50 here, but more than 20. Okay. So once you click on your client, right, this is where everything's happening for this client. Okay. So you have your timeline and your alerts. There's other details like profile details, your files, your transactions, and your task here. But the most important one is your timeline and alerts. If these two things are set up, you're good to go, right? So for your timeline, I would look at the client's name here and I will see their activity. On the dashboard, you saw all your clients' activity, but on this page, you will only see your client's activity here for this individual. And their journey is that we already put them as a client and hopefully we'll take them to contract and we close this deal. Okay, so these are the three statuses that we have for them. So this client here seems pretty interested in looking for properties, so 7 properties today. So this agent should be all over this person. Job should be, hey, I need to show them a property. All right, so that's your timeline. To the right here, if you want to make a call, add notes, send emails, send text, you can do all of that from here. But now let's say you want to have a schedule showing for this person this week, let's just say Saturday. All you got to do is just click on more actions, add task, and say showing 123 Main Street. And when are you showing it? I'm showing it Saturday. What time it is? Let's say it's 2 p.m. Okay. And put any notes that you have, any notes, right? And you add a task. So it will show up here for you on the task, and it will be, I'm going to go back to our dashboard and it will show up here. Obviously, this is not mine, it was another agent's, but you will see it under task here. Okay. So those are your clients and those are your alerts in Smart CRM. Okay. Again, we have videos on this, and all our agents, you get a client within 15 minutes. You can set up everything, send them the alerts. And when you send them the alert, it makes a huge difference. Instead of them going to other websites, Zillow and all the other websites, why not they look at the links that they already told you which type of property, where they want to be at? Why not send them that link with all the properties that KV Core is showing? So that link will show all the properties up to today. Anything moving on, let's just go back to this now. Let's pretend that this property here in Queens Village is a brand new one. Everything else was prior to that. So if this is a brand new, you don't want to click on send recent results and send them 109 again. You just want to send them this property. So how could we do that? You're going to click on it and it will take you to the listing page for this Queens Village listing. And you would click on more actions and send via text. And you can send it to multiple clients of yours. You can say, hey, this property in Queens Village is really good for a lot of my clients. So I'm going to start sending one by one. So let's say it's one guy here. We have a lot of things in here. So I'm going to put, right. So you can send it to both of these clients and just make sure that you check box this. It says also send listing link. So this way they see a picture. When they click on it, it takes them to your website, right? And the notes here, it's by default, it says, I think you may like this listing, but you can put anything in. Let's say you're sending them a lot. I usually like to put the address right before that. So they know exactly which property we're talking about. And we just hit send. Okay. So we went over our dashboard, we went through our smart CRM. And now another good tool about listing, about KV Core is that let's just say you're, driving by and you see an address, you see a property on sale. You can just go, instead of going anywhere else, just go to KV Core under listing, type in the address that you have, right? So if it's 338, you will see all the details right from this page here. All right. And next, and the last thing I want to talk about KV Core is your lead engine, right? There's two options that they're really good here. you can create a landing page, custom landing page if you need to, or a squeeze page. So a landing page will look something like this. Let's say you have a tagline, do you want to buy a house in South Ocean Park? Do you want to sell your property in Queens? Any of those taglines, any bullet points that you want. So this is just a form that could be on your website or on Instagram, anywhere you want, and you're trying to collect leads from there. So you want to have a tagline, and you can customize it from here. So it could be if you have a video, you can use that. If you just want to use a lead generation, this is one of the best ones out there, and you just leave it as default. You can change the background, right? And then you can save it. So you can utilize this by going to lead engine and built landing page. Okay. And the second one is really good. It's called built squeeze page. So a couple of things you can do here is either you can do a multifamily. So these are like just like how we set up alerts, but does not have to do with any client. These are just generic searches that you want to create a page for. So let's just say you want to see what's on the market for whatever area that you prefer. And you just want to look at single family, multifamily. You could do style, price range, right? How many beds, just like how we're doing the alerts. And once you have filled all these things out, you're going to click on generate links. This is the long one, and this is the short link. Use the short one. You can copy it from here, and then you can send it anywhere you want. Okay. Or you can list it on Facebook. Hey, are you looking for properties in Elmont? Here's the link. All the properties on Elmont will show up. Are you looking for properties in Brooklyn? You'll see all of that. So you can, when you're sharing posts on social media, create these links and then post them. So this way you're actually sending us some value instead of just generic, hey, buy with Lucky, buy with Linton, or buy with Muhammad. Hey, what are you looking in Queens? Here are some nice new properties in Queens. Here's a link for it. So use that, build squeeze pages from lead engine. Questions, concerns, anything on your mind, guys, for KV Core? Hmm. Yeah, I mean, does it have? I mean, it's just the reminders. These are like to do. So let's say you pick a client, this one here, right? And there's no, I mean, what do you want to do? Let's say you want to call them tomorrow, right? You can click on more actions, add task, call client at 10 a.m., right? And any notes that you want. So it doesn't have to be just showings, but it's just a to do or follow up for that client, you know, and what time you want to close and put in the details here. Yeah. Yeah, it will be under your dashboard and it will be under task due today. All the upcoming one, you will see it here. These are the upcoming list, and this is due today, or this will be past you. Hey, you supposed to call this person, but you didn't, you know? So they'll be under your dashboard under task. But the good thing about this is like once you have a long list of let's say 50 clients, you don't know who to follow up with, then it makes it really easy to just creating tasks and like, hey, today I got to follow up with these 5 clients. I have to do exactly, and in your notes will tell you exactly what to do. Either call, and you're the one who's setting it up. Either call them, text them, show them, or any of that nature. Make sense? Perfect, perfect. Yeah. So that is KV Core in a nutshell, guys. So next, let's talk about our FHA requirements. So this is a loan program. Um, it's basically backed by the government. Government doesn't actually lend out the money. The lenders, different lenders, still lend out the money, but the government has a guidelines. hey, you have to follow these guidelines. If the borrower qualifies for that guidelines, we will, approve that loan, and the lender can give that money to the borrower, right? So it can be for FHA loans, can be for single family or multifamily. So let's say there's a two-family house. You can be living on the first floor and you can rent out the second floor. Okay. A lot of people think that, hey, FHA loan is just got to be single family. It's not true. It could be multifamily. Okay. And your credit scores. Government says, hey, you need at least 580 if you want to put down 3.5% down payment. But most lenders will have overlays. They will say, hey, the government is saying 580, but we feel like, 580 is too risky. We want 620. Some of them will even have higher, but 620 is what we are seeing through our lender. Is that true, Josh? And if they want to put less than 3.5%, right? Sorry, if they want to put down more than 3.5%, let's say they want to put 10%, right? And their credit score is lower than 580, they have to put 10%. If the credit score is 620, they have the option. They can go as low as 3.5%. But again, they can put down 10% if they prefer. But if their credit score is between 500 and 579, they must put down 10%. Make sense, guys? So that is your credit score. So with FHA, one of the requirement is called a mortgage insurance premium. It's called MIP, and that is an upfront and a monthly insurance throughout the life of the loan if you get an FHA. But the key here, not a lot of people know that, is that if you putting down less than 10%, let's say 5%, this MIP, your insurance will never go away. Eventually you have to refinance that property, right? But if you're putting down more than 10%, then it will go away eventually. And when will it go away is after 11 years. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so we went over your credit score, we went over your insurance, and now debt to income. Government says, they will allow up to 54% a debt to income ratio, which we just went over on our affordability there. But the lower the DTI, your debt to income, the better for you. You can qualify for, let's say, $500,000 property. You don't necessarily have to buy $500,000 property. If you go at 450, that's better for you. Maybe you can invest in something else later on, but you qualify for this much, but you don't have to spend that much. Okay, the lower the DTI, the better. And the biggest requirement that the FHA loan has is that the borrower must live there. It has to be their primary residence for 1 year. After 1 year, they can rent out, both of the units. There's no issue, but they have to live there for 1 year. A lot of people think that I can just tell them, that I'm going to live there, but not actually live there. There's a lot of, agencies out there. They're also tracking down those borrowers, and there's huge fines and penalties for those. But if you're planning to get an FHA, just make sure that you are planning to live there for 1 full year. Okay. And the borrower, doesn't matter what, when they're ready to buy the house, their income and proof of employment has to be steady. If they're working on W-2, they have to be working there for at least 2 years, or a similar job for 2 years, right? But if it's a 1099, it could be up to 5 years they're in the same field, but we just need 1 year of tax returns. Right, Josh? Anything you want to add to that? Income, right? And for bankruptcies, right? So there's different bankruptcies, chapter 7, chapter 13, and all these bankruptcies show up on your credit reports for almost 10 years. But FHA says, hey, you had a hardship at one point, and you had to get rid of whatever assets you had to, and you had to go through bankruptcy. But now after 2 years and you start building your credit, you can still purchase a property using FHA if you wait 2 years after those bankruptcies take place. Okay. And the next guideline you have is the gifts. So let's say they're putting down $50,000 for down payment. Some lenders say, hey, that $50,000 has to be in your bank account from your savings. But if you're using a FHA, they will allow gifts. So the lender will give out, a gift letter where the borrower will have to get it signed from the person that they're getting the money from, and they will use that as their down payment. So FHA really allows you to do that. Okay. So a lot of people ask this question too, that hey, if I purchase a house on FHA loan, I live there for 1 year, and then after that I move out and I want to purchase another property using FHA, could I do the same thing over and over again? Right? The short answer is yes, you can do that, but there are some restrictions to that, right? So you buy your first house, you live there for 1 year, you rent it out, and you want to buy another house. The second house requirement is that it has to be 100 miles away from the first one. It's a pretty big radius there, 100 miles from the original property that you were living there. Otherwise, if you can do that, then you're more than welcome to buy a second or third property using FHA. When it comes to your second property, maybe by then you want to look at other loan options, conventional and others. But if you want to plan to live there for 1 year, you can do FHA and go from there. And the last thing is your loan limits. They increased this year again for 2023, and if for a single family, you can go up to close to 1.1 million for a single family property. Questions, concerns, anything you want to add, Josh, to this? How about you guys? Any of you guys planning to purchase a property have any questions on uh, FHA loans or guidelines? All right. So that is the requirements. On the next meeting, we will go through conventional and we'll compare our FHA and conventional loans, with the down payments, with the credit scores and stuff like that. But FHA, don't be discouraged. When we had the pandemic going on, during COVID time, there were some issues with FHA and conventional, meaning this, it was a seller's market, 100% seller's market, because the sellers were getting like 10 offers, right? And if they saw a FHA offer versus a conventional offer where the offer price is same, the down payment is same, just the word FHA and conventional, they will say, hey, I want to go with conventional. I don't want to touch FHA because there's more restrictions to it, which is true to some extent. But now the offers are getting less. So if you have a client that's looking for FHA, encourage them. Hey, we can still put in your offer and see what happens from the seller side. All right. So yeah, Tony, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. For investment, yeah. If he plans to, I mean, no, not with. Yeah, if he's buying another second home, and if it's gonna be FHA, he has to live there, right? But the if they already have an FHA loan on the first property, the new rule is that they have to be 100 miles away from the first one. Okay. So if it's an investor looking for it, the word investor is going to be right off the bat that he's not going to live there, right? If he's going to live there, great. That'll be his primary residence. But if it's an investor, then for the second property, he's not going to go with the FHA. He's going to go with a conventional loan for FHA. Yeah, for FHA, requirement is that they would be 100 miles away for the second home. Yeah. Down payment they can go is 3.5% for using FHA. But in our next meeting, we'll go through conventional loans, and there's a lot of programs where they will allow up, around 3% for your down payment. So does that mean that most people think that conventional? Go ahead. Yeah, the higher the better. The credit score, yeah, the credit score. These are for your first primary residence. You 620, but hopefully by the second property even higher. Everything is higher. Second property, they want better credit score, they want more income, just to make sure. Now let's say you're purchasing two properties, right, or three properties. Every additional property that you're purchasing, the bank wants to make sure that you are able to pay those loans, those mortgages. Uh-huh. Yeah, you can do that. If it's going to be a different state and if it's 100 miles from first one, yeah, you got to speak to a lender that will work in that state, and you can definitely do that. But then again, if it's going to be FHA in a different state, you have to live there. So unless you are planning to move to Pennsylvania and live there for a year, if it's just an investment, you're going to rent it out, then it's better to go with the conventional loan where there's no restrictions of living there, right? No, conventional is not 20%. That's what I'm saying. Like, 20% is if you don't want to pay mortgage insurance on conventional. On the but they can go even lower than 3.5. They can go as low as 3% on conventional in some cases. Okay. Yeah. So we'll definitely go through more details with the conventional in the next meeting. But any questions on FHA, guys? Any last thoughts? Anything on your mind? All right, guys. If that's that, I will leave it at that. And just want you guys to remember, I want to end it with the same article. I'll share that with everybody. Hey, you can be selling bootleg CDs at one day and then running a brokerage another. It just depends on where your focus is. Hopefully, all you guys can focus on your real estate transactions, on your following up with your clients using KV Core and staying up to date with the market. Okay, I hope this helps. And the next meeting will be on Saturday at 11 a.m. And hopefully, you guys can join. Okay, if there's no question, you guys can get going one by one.